What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Lone Star Sportsman. Today we're in the shop, wishing we could be on the water, but raining out today. It's cold. It's just a miserable day. Plus all this coronavirus stuff going around. We're just staying at the house for a while. So I figured what better time to put out a video to go over all of the rigs I like to use when I fish live or dead bait. So let's dive right on in. We'll start off with the slider rig. Well, I call it a slider rig. What you'll need is a good leader material, whatever you want to use. I prefer 30-pound fluorocarbon leader. I know a lot of people, they just use heavy monofilament for it. It's all personal preference. I prefer the fluorocarbon, so that's what I'm using in the video. You'll also need an egg sinker, a barrel swivel, a hook, and when I fish these with live bait, I like to put a chatterweight in the center of my leader. We'll cover that in a minute. Let's go over how I construct these. The leader is usually about, well, when I fish with live bait, it's about 2.5 feet long. Hook on one end, chatterweight in the very center, and then to the barrel swivel at the very other end of the leader. Off the main line of the reel, I'll slide the egg sinker onto the main line of the reel from the reel, and then tie your main line to the other end of the barrel swivel. Like I said, with live bait, I like to be about 2.5 feet, so that way I can put the chatterweight in the middle and everything's spaced out real well. With dead bait, usually I make these about 18 to 20 inches, 18 to 24 inches. Let's put it like that. It seems to work real well. The size of weight I have on here right now is a 1 ounce. Strictly for demonstration purposes. It's just the first weight that I could grab. The size of weight you use is really going to be determined by where you're fishing and how much water movement you have. If you have a lot of current, a lot of water flow, you're going to want to add a heavier weight to it so it'll get down and stay down and not drift along in the water. And as for hooks also, the hook I have on here right now is a 1/0 Kale style hook. I use these for my live shrimp and dead shrimp, shad, mud minnows, smaller baits like that. If I were to upgrade baits and go with, let's say, croaker or a larger mullet, I'd probably switch over to a 5/0 Kale style hook. And if I was to throw these in the surf or in the jetties or something like that for bull reds and big black drum, I'll switch over to a circle hook. And usually I throw those whenever I'm fishing with cracked crab. It's a great rig. Catches a lot of fish. The way I fish it, throw out wherever you want to fish at, throw out. That weight will bring it down. If you're fishing with live bait, that bait will usually swim it back up towards the surface, and as it's kicking along, it'll have that chatterweight making a lot of noise. Added a presentation for it, so bring the fish in a little better, I feel like. With dead bait, I like to throw these in an area where I have a lot of current and water movement, so that way when that weight takes it down to the bottom, the current kind of lifts that dead bait off the bottom and has it kind of swinging in the water column, so those fish will come along and find it and eat. But that pretty much covers that. Well, I also use this rig scaled down by a lot for crappie and white bass fishing. With that, I'll end up going with a very small weight, smaller egg sinker, and a small, just the regular old J style hooks from Eagle Claw, just the gold hooks. Works great for getting down under the lights for white bass and also getting down on brush piles for crappie. It's a good little rig. Just like I said, from saltwater, it's scaled down by a lot. Next one we'll go over, popping corks. Everybody knows popping cork. It's Old Faithful. The one I'm using here is a Mid-Coast Enticer. My absolute favorite popping cork to use. Cast great, make a lot of noise, and I love these things. They've never done me wrong. They don't tangle very bad either. My popping corks, I usually make about a 3-foot leader. Again, 30-pound fluorocarbon. chatterweight in the very middle for added presentation. And when I'm fishing with live shrimp, I like to throw a treble hook. I think this is a number 3 that I have on here right now. I'm not for sure what size it is. I'd have to go back and find the package and really look it up. But also the hook changes for the bait. If I'm fishing for specifically speckled trout with live shrimp, I'll throw the treble hook. It tends to keep them on a little better. They don't throw it as easily. If I'm targeting just drum and sheep's head and redfish, I'll throw on that 1/0 Kale style hook. And I really don't use the treble hook for those harder mouth fish. It's a lot harder to get that treble hook out of their mouths when they eat it. Popping cork, you want to fish this over structure. Keep you from getting snagged up with a bottom rig. You know, find you an oyster bed or something like that. You want to cast over that oyster bed, let that cork float over it. You know, every 45 seconds or so, you want to give that cork a good pop so it'll make a lot of noise in that water, bring the fish in towards you. But it'll take that bait and it'll float it right over that oyster bed or whatever structure you have without snagging the bottom. Awesome technique to use. Again, and it'll catch. If you're going out with a kid and you just want them to catch fish, popping cork, live shrimp, and a chatterweight, you'll catch fish all day long. And last but not least, what everybody refers to as the croaker rig, I call it a free line rig. You need chatterweight. When I'm throwing croaker or mullet, it's what I usually always throw with this, is a 5/0 Kale style hook. And I like to put a red bead, a green teaser bead, and another red bead on my leader. The leader's about 18 to 20 inches long. Works really well. I know a lot of people that don't put the beads on there. I like the beads. You know, when you cast out there, you have your croaker, your mullet on the bottom, let them swim along every now and, about every couple minutes, you want to give that rod a couple good bumps, wake that bait up, also rattle that chatterweight. But when you do, those beads will slide on that line and give a loud clack in the water. In my opinion, it helps. It brings in fish really well, and it's never done me wrong. It's an awesome rig to use. I mainly use it when I'm wade fishing. I have fished it out of a boat drifting. It's really hard to do fishing it out of a boat drifting. There might be a better technique to do it from a boat. I just haven't found it yet. But that kind of wraps up the main rigs that I like to use for live or dead bait. If you have any rigs that are similar to this that I haven't gone over today, feel free to drop them in the comments. Maybe next time we can go over those as well. And for any other content you want to see, find me on Facebook at the Lone Star Sportsman Nick Parr, same as the YouTube channel name. That's on Facebook. And then on Instagram is nick.parr.88. Go give us a like and a follow on there. And also, if you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that subscribe button on here. I'll catch y'all later.